Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, Rob Browne here on this, Wednesday morning. Stayed up late last night. My mom didn't know I had the flashlight on and was watching the game. I think it ended about 12:15, 12:30. Auburn taking out Missouri 4 straight. Why do people always say it's hard to beat the same team twice or 3 times or 4 times? I think the exact opposite. It's easier. You already know you can beat them. It just gives you more confidence every time you do it. So what do you call it when you beat a team 3 straight times? A sweep? What do you call it when you beat them 4 straight times? A curb stomping? I don't know. But Auburn's playing some good baseball. But they're not the only team playing good baseball there in Hoover at the SEC tournament. Dudley Dawson joins us from the beautiful Pebble Beach baseball diamond. God, that he has the best background of it. Now Jackie Sherrill was on the show Friday, and Dudley, he was on his fishing boat up in Cutter, Arkansas on the White River catching big old brown trout. And I said, Coach, that's the first time a guest has ever caught a brown trout live on Sidelines. And John Hartwell was on from his beach house down on 30A at the Sun Belt Conference meetings. Again, they always have them at some terrible places. But now I can tell you as a hardcore, I will hunt and kill and shoot anything that swims, flies, crawls, or runs, and eat it too. If we were having a big business meeting in January, I would want to be in a flooded rice field or some flooded green timber in Arkansas or Mississippi or West Tennessee, which I think is the best duck hunting on the planet. I don't think I'm going to get much argument there. But a lot of baseball down in Hoover. And what I don't understand is why these guys on TV were talking all day long about, well, I'm going to have to go get a poncho or something warm. It's kind of cool here. Read the damn weather forecast. I got the app on my phone. Man, I've got all the gear for it. That's what you get it for. But that was some strange weather down there. Vince Ferarra joins us in the second segment over in Knoxville, covers the Tennessee Vols. Hour number 2, Doug Dean checks in from AU Dose down in Birmingham. And Ben Troupe, Section 4, comes in, ESPN Coastal down in Savannah, where I guarantee you it's warm and it's humid. Follow us on Twitter at Sidelines_live. 6 shows a week, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central. Follow us on Twitter at Sidelines_live. So it's 50 hours plus content per month. And man, Dudley, this SEC baseball right now, of all the teams in there, who has the most to gain? Because I think Arkansas and Florida are your best teams in the league. Both got 20 wins. So they're locked in for a regional and they win. They're both going to get a super. Outside of them, who?
Well, you kind of look at the situations, and South Carolina playing today, they are on the verge of getting themselves a regional. I think that, they're in good shape. They win one today, certainly will be in good shape. Also, you mentioned Auburn. Auburn is playing as good as any team in the league right now. Is 9 wins in a row, I think, something like that. Coach Dawson really has them playing. So there are some teams, not necessarily the top teams. I think we know that the top 4 teams are all going to be part of the top 8 national seeds. They can all solidify that, especially Vanderbilt, today with these 4 games today. But I think that, there's always that, does the SEC tournament matter? Would it be better to go down there, play 2 or 3 games, come home, get some rest? That'll always be a quandary, always be something people throw out there. If you're winning and you win the tournament, it matters. Yeah, if you lose then you wanted to get some rest. Seems to be the thing that's trumpeted from these coaches and fan bases. Yeah.
Well, I don't ever advocate losing. It's just like the bowl games. Damn it, they're keeping score. You're representing the university. You go give 110%. The fans do. They want it. Do the same thing. But now there's going to be argument. There's 16 regional hosts, 64 teams. Well, the SEC gets too many. Well, if they're the best, and we let the free market work, Dudley. Do you have a problem with that?
No, that's how life works. I mean, if you're good, you get stuff. If you're good at what you do, you get rich. If you're not, you struggle. You know, and there may be variations of that, but yeah, you're right. I never ever go into even, and my Cowboys have given me some grief over the years, but I never go into wanting to lose to get a better draft pick or wanting to lose to get a better schedule. All that. If you're playing a game, you win. That's it. You know, and if you're not, you shouldn't be. And coaches say that a lot. If you're not, don't even show up. Well, that's the deal. I mean, I don't want people who think it's okay to lose in any situation.
Yeah, and for people to say that, there's something wrong with them. But that is capitalism. You know, you work hard and you do things right. You know, you get on top. That's great. And if you want to help other people, that's your choice. I love to help people because I never forget people who help me. But sports, there's all this narrative right now that the SEC could have, seven of the top 15 RPI teams are in the conference. I don't have a problem with it. And I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was the Pac-12. I mean, let the best teams, if they've earned it, give it to them. On the flip side, you hate it when a team, you're like, there's no way their RPI doesn't justify it or whatever. But I think the SEC, you've got look at the 20-win Arkansas. I mean, who's better? We're going to find out.
If you go out and schedule, I mean, there have been times over the course of different sports that the SEC teams maybe have not had the best out-of-conference schedule. Whether it be baseball, football, all that. There are legitimate questions then. But, I don't know, what was it, 5 or 6 years ago? The SEC basically said, quit playing tough schools. You can play one of them a year and all that. But go get you a schedule so you just won't be a problem. And if people don't like it, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, because, you got to include Wake Forest in there since they've been so good. But it's just if you go out and play the games and you win them, you can't really say anything. I mean, people will, but you shouldn't be able to say anything. It doesn't have a legitimate value to it when you say something.
That is true. And you're talking football right there. And in baseball, the SEC, Dudley, we remember growing up, the Pac-12 was, in Southern Cal baseball, Rod Ditto, legendary. It was the John Wooden of baseball in college. And then Augie Garrido at Texas. He won a boatload of championships. In the SEC, it's just, you just pick the sport. Basketball, we're not there yet. We have too many one and dones and too many guys that are good athletes that I don't think are great basketball players. But pretty much in every sport, the SEC is on top. And that is the free market working beautifully. It's a wonderful thing to see. But it sure as hell creates interest too, doesn't it? The argument over
Pat Bradley is former Arkansas shooting god. Pat Bradley,
I love it.
Says on an ad that we have going on here in Arkansas right now, it's not bragging if you can do it.
That's right. And I mean the shooter. I love it when he gets it, man, from Everett, Massachusetts, which is got to be somewhere right around Boston.
It is. Definitely is.
Absolutely gets it about. I remember on SEC Network, it was a year ago, Arkansas was about to play Gonzaga when they beat them, the number 1 overall seed, to get to the Elite Eight, the tournament before this last one. And he said, the people in Arkansas, you go anywhere in that state. And he goes, whether they got a lot of money and a big house or the opposite. He goes, they got that Razorback flag in their yard. He goes, that's this state, embraces it. And transfer that, around the rest of the SEC and around the country. But, they don't have the same pride, in my opinion, for college in the Northeast as they do in the South, where we have fewer pro teams. But they've got their pride for the Patriots. I can assure you, my friend Rob Hayden, anything to do with Boston. And, with the Celtics, they are as passionate as they get. and Johnny Most, the great play-by-play announcer for the Celtics.
Bird stole the ball.
What was the famous deal that Larry Bird was? I'm trying to think what happened.
Larry Bird stole it to Dennis Johnson for a layup. So,
well, but the best one was when Bird elbowed a guy in the eye, and Johnny Most said, his eye. He's trying to hit him in the elbow with his eye.
Yeah, he was what you call not objective.
He goes, oh, look at the guy right there with his eye, Bird's elbow. Hopefully he's going to be able to shoot the ball.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, that I loved listening to back in the day. And he's one of those guys that probably, in today's world wouldn't get the gig and wouldn't be appreciated by, the guys who, he was knowledgeable. That was the big thing. Yes, he was not objective. He was calling for his home team, but he was knowledgeable. And sometimes I think, and you mentioned the SEC guys, I think they did a really good job over the course of the 4 games yesterday, but I know it gets long. You have 2 hours, 6-minute rain delay. And I'm like, when I've been on the radio, when I'm on here, there are times that you just fill in space, and they were filling a lot of space yesterday with ponchos and Todd Walker's massive bus or whatever it is that has a fireplace on it and all this kind of stuff. Seems like a hazard to me, but he's real popular here in Arkansas right now anyway for saying that the 4 teams that had the best chance to go and win the NCAA tournament did not include Arkansas.
Well, Arkansas people, they're there every year. And I keep asking you this in the last 5 or 6 years, is this the best? And you said it's probably not the most talented Arkansas team, but it might be the closest in terms of experience and making big plays at the right times. Next question you got to say too is every coach talks about their pitching staff, the depth and all. It's not an excuse. It's a reality. But how deep can Arkansas go with their pitching staff? And health-wise, are they looking at it and going, hey, we got this regional we're going to host. What do we do in Birmingham? I would think he's a coach. He's going, we're going to win it. We're going to win every game we play.
Yeah, they're sending out Cody Adcock today. He's probably been their 5th best starter or long reliever and all that, but they're trying to give Hagen Smith, keep him on normal rest, because not only do you want him to pitch well in this tournament, since this is a double elimination phase now. The single elimination teams, they all went home yesterday. Yeah. But you'll have Hagen Smith pitching Thursday. Then I think he will go from there. He said very clearly that he's not going to use anybody more than once other than Will McIntyre, who has a rubber arm and wants to pitch. But he's going to pitch some of the young ones, but he's not going to go. Basically, he said the thing we kind of say that if you're going to play the game, you're going to go out and try to win. But at the same time, I'm not going to overextend the arms where it messes them up for the following week, which we all know is far more important.
Well, yeah. And then the regionals will start. I mean, we'll finish up Sunday. They'll make the announcements, and then you won't play again until a week from tomorrow or Friday.
Yeah, the NCAA selection show is always on Memorial Day. They'll make the announcements about 11 o'clock. Arkansas is expected to get to regional and expected to be the national seed. So the path is in front of them. And I'm sure that my boss, Lanny Beavers, is thrilled that they've played so well, because that means no flights, no car rentals, none of that. You could just drive down, the road here and be at the ballpark. So, and I know the Arkansas fans want that. And that doesn't guarantee them a spot in the College World Series, but it sure helps.
Oh, it definitely does. And, last year having to go play the Super Regional at Stillwater, that's where they had to go do it, but they still got to the World Series. So,
yeah, I would say they were skidding to the finish last year. We're not very good in this SEC tournament last year. It went to Alabama, had a bad weekend. I think that the way it worked out, that team was better off playing on the road. They kind of came together. Rock Riggio, the shortstop at Oklahoma State, got them kind of bonded as a unit with his Captain Jack Sparrow annex. And I think it really was actually better for that team to be on the road, but not this one. I think this one will play better at home. I mean, there's 32 and 4 at home, I think, this year. So, that just tells you how good the cozy confines of Baum-Walker Stadium could be.
Yeah, and there'll be, 12,000, 15,000, people just – there's no telling how many people will just be there to be at the event. But Dudley, the popularity of college baseball can be attributed to the fact that I know there's NIL there, but it's not at the forefront, whereas you've got – have you seen the South Park episode about NIL? I mean, they nailed it. I mean, it's so.
Well, what did they not nail? I mean, those two guys are crazy. Don't get me wrong; those two guys are crazy, but they nailed it. And so many things they've predicted.
Yeah.
So many years in the future is just nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. The only funny shows on TV really anymore are King of the Hill, The Simpsons, and South Park.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso's good too. Yeah. Now they let her rip. Now, Audrey, last night I'm very disappointed. She had me watch one of the things about Northumbria and Uhtred. Uhtred died. It was the end. It was the end. Uhtred, the great Viking warrior.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and everybody, by the way, in that area, in the United Kingdom back in those days, Ethelrod, Ethelidium, Ethel. I've never heard more Ethels in my life. I just remember the name Ethel and Ray Stevens' song "The Street." Don't look, Ethel. It was too late. Too late.
She already shot free though.
We're going to take a quick break with Dudley Dawson. I got to ask him something about someone from Newport right after this. Hogville.net, folks. Subscribe, be a reader, be wiser. Right after this.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
Dudley, I was reading a story. I mean, I'm like you. We read a lot, and I'm trying to remember exactly. It just came in the last couple of days. It was about somebody at an Arkansas football game 20 years ago, maybe 02 or 03, that ran out on the field from Newport, streaked buck naked. And did you know that guy? You did.
No, did not. He was much younger than me, so I had and all that. And I'm not sure. hey, I'm proud. It wouldn't happen to me a long time ago. I quit taking off my clothes outside. I mean, it does take courage. I guess, but yes, I do remember that. And at first, I remember looking at it, what an idiot, and then they let us know that idiot was from my hometown.
Yeah. And I think, of course, back in the 70s, streaking was very common.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jack's Dairy Cup. Some people were running around the Jack's Dairy Cup there in Newport, which was our dairy, our little fast food place we used to go to, that Minute Man. So, but I'm glad nobody ran naked around Minute Man. That would have been tough. So.
Yeah, it's scary to think about it. That used to be very common in games. People would streak out on the field, and the cameras quit showing them. So either it doesn't happen anymore, or they just don't show them. Because somebody on social media would have a phone. When we were growing up, went to a concert, everybody turned up their lighters. Now it's a bunch of cell phones. Hey, got a bit of trivia here for you. You're a very well-read, highly literate man. Do you still, like, even when you text someone, do you indent 5 spaces to the right? When you send an email, do you do that? Because there are a lot of people who are just sloppy, just, send something out. They don't check spellings. I know I do. I can't help but indent 5 spaces to the right. And when I'm corresponding with you or anyone who is a true grit journalist, I'm real self-conscious about, like, et al. Is that a semicolon or a colon at the end of it and all? Do you think like that?
I would admit that I still think like that in terms of emails and texts, but Twitter, when I'm trying to get a certain amount of characters in there, that I might take some liberties there. But goodness gracious, we know everybody takes liberties on Twitter with the truth, with spelling, with everything else, with anonymity. That's the one thing I hate more than anything about social media. And there's a lot of good use to social media. But if you've got an egg instead of your picture and your name as your deal, and handles are cute, but just let people know who you are. I am all about personal responsibility. I'm all about if you say something, then you own it. I mean, very rarely outside of this house here is there anything that I say that's not recorded.
Yeah.
Be on radio or podcast or whatever. So I don't really have the luxury other than just sitting around here with my wife. And it's fun telling my wife what I really think at times, about everything else. But I hate the anonymity part. I want people to own what they say. I've said some stupid stuff over the years. I've said some smart stuff over the years, but I'm here for all of it. Yeah.
I mean, like the Twitter, our Twitter handle, obviously, Sidelines is @sidelines_live. I think it's got my picture on it. I'm totally with you. I think it's fair to say that Twitter is where grammar, punctuation, and a lot of the English language goes to die.
It's a great deal that somebody came up with, but it's also the bane of my existence at times.
Yeah, and because there's a lot of information out there, but the people who say things anonymously, you really can't take them seriously. It's like it's just the way it is. All right, Dudley, this baseball though, the popularity of college baseball, we're going to see the stadiums, I think, get bigger and bigger. Another reason why is because the college towns, so many people are choosing to retire and come back there and live. So you're going to see more and more, I think, farm teams just almost either disappear or I don't know. But the college baseball facilities are nicer than most single A, double A, or triple A are.
Well, we have the Northwest Arkansas Naturals here that actually where I live here in Springdale, which is, right beside Fayetteville. They have a nice facility. But if you look at the two between the Northwest Arkansas Naturals and Arkansas, because so much money has been put into the development of facilities of Arkansas, there's no difference if you drove past them. And that's one of the reasons that Arkansas is able to get such great players, is because of those facilities that you never would think. I've been to every baseball stadium in the SEC, and I've been to Oklahoma and Texas already too. So when they get here, I'll already have had some experience with that. And it's amazing to me how Arkansas has come from having George Cole Field, which was next to the Hyper Physical Education Building, a very quaint facility, to this massive mecca of college baseball that they have at Baum-Walker Stadium. It is just continuing to get bigger and better. And that's because the popularity of college baseball is getting even better for two reasons, I think. The quality of it, the quality of coaching, playing has been really good. And also there are more people, more young men, that instead of taking the minor league route, riding the bus, and really there's only 20 rounds of the draft now, they have decided that it's better development for them to come and play 3 years in college baseball.
Yeah, I agree. And last night, as the games just kind of dragged on, I heard them talking about the Major League Baseball draft. They mentioned Mike Piazza was taken by the Dodgers, who was, I think, a nephew of Tommy Lasorda.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Piazza was taken in the 62nd round. I mean,
took a flyer. It worked out for him.
Yeah, it did. He took a flyer. But, I got another question here from a listener. Boris Karloff in El Dorado, Arkansas.
Fan of his work.
That's right. Boris Karloff is very scary. The Monster Mash. The question is, Reynolds Razorback Stadium, is that named after the Reynolds aluminum guy?
Donald W. Reynolds is who it's named after, although I believe that I heard not too long ago that the naming rights were going to be up for grabs here soon because the contract is nearing an end. So we'll see what I'm sure it'll be Razorback something, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, but there's been so much going into the brain here lately that some of it may have seeped out to the left ear. But that is named after one of the Walmart, the family of Walmart periphery.
Okay. Yeah, because but it's not, though, the aluminum foil guy, Reynolds aluminum foil.
I do not believe so.
Okay.
Because I believe that was there a long time before he got
yeah, because I know so many, and I mean, I'm over here right now. I'm in parking. I'm at the farm, at the cherry farm, but and I'll be, up in Hardy and tomorrow, and Rockbridge, Missouri, trout fishing Friday, and on the Spring River Saturday. It's just, it is the natural state. I remember as a kid coming through here, my dad said, "Boy, this state's got everything. Of course, oil, natural gas, and they have so much, but the one mineral, I guess, in the ground that people don't talk about, and that's bauxite, and that's what you make aluminum from. That's why I thought maybe connect the dots here, but it is a completely self-sufficient state. And if you think about it, Nelson Rockefeller sent his sons out to West Virginia because of all the great natural resources, and one of them became a senator and governor there. And then when Rockefeller came to Arkansas, because same thing, all of the great natural resources, and it is the natural state. It's amazing. All right, let's look at it now.
Before you go any further, I wanted to quickly Google Mr. Reynolds, and I now remember that he was part of the Don Ray Media Corporation. That's kind of how he built up his wealth. He passed away at age 86 a few years ago, but he certainly was a guy who made when you're listed as a businessman and philanthropist, that's the way. But he died in 1993 at age 86 after going to the University of Missouri, as so many people who made a lot of money seem to have done.
Well, you know what? Here's an interesting point. And Vince Ferarra is going to join us, Dudley. Stay on if you can. He's over in Knoxville, covers Tennessee. But Reynolds owned the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of trivia here from Yule Gibbons in Live Oak, Florida. Thank you, Yule Gibbons. Ever eat a pine tree? Let's bring on Vince Ferarra. Vince Ferarra over there at the Sports Animal in Knoxville. And also I see him on SEC Network. Vol baseball, softball, you're everywhere. This is Dudley Dawson, Vince, hogville.net up in Springdale, right next to Fayetteville, where most of the free world is moving to the northwest corner of Arkansas. I was with Mark Ham, my wife's cousin, like her brother, from Knoxville yesterday. He's been down here for the barbecue fest. He said, "I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. I want to cook my own ribs. Tired of all that mess." But Vince, are you in Hoover or are you in Knoxville?
No, Knoxville. My partner, John Wilkerson, we call the games together, but he handled going to the SEC tournament solo. So he and the team stayed back overnight, and they are headed back this morning. So, I'm in Knoxville, and obviously watched how it went down yesterday.
Yeah, and we're talking, obviously Dudley covers the Razorbacks, and I'm an Auburn grad, but this tournament right now, last year Tennessee was so hot. They won the tournament, went home, won the regional, but lost the Super to Notre Dame. Tennessee and Auburn were both really hot the second half of the season. What did you think Tennessee learned from their finish last year that they're doing better right now?
Well, I think this team has transformed a lot since last year in that learning experience. And the guys that were there, they've talked about how it was motivating and made them hungry in the offseason. Some of those guys that were involved in that, though, have moved on to Major League Baseball. And Drew Gilbert, who was public villain #1 around the country with, his bat flips and things like that. But he is soaring through the Astros organization. He's already in Double-A as a rookie. So some of those guys aren't here anymore. Tennessee had to replace all 8 position players from a year ago. So it took them some time to figure things out. As you guys know, 5-10 through the first half of conference play. And it was that Vanderbilt series at home with the dramatics in the 9th inning of 2 solo home runs. They got him to extra innings, and then Griffin Merritt walked it off, which he's done 3 times this year, by the way. And so they played much better in the second half. Only Auburn like you mentioned, had a better record in the second half. Auburn's continued to ascend and keep winning. And to me, they've worked their way into hosting a regional. We'll see how it shakes out. I think Tennessee needed more than what happened yesterday to host a regional. But, the learning experience, I think, differs guy to guy because there's a fair amount between the portal and guys moving on, guys that weren't there. And it is something that the returning players have talked about telling the new guys about. But sometimes you just got to go through it and live it and kind of figure that out on your own.
Yeah, and I've made a point on the show before how much I like and respect Coach Vitello. I almost called him Tony, but I told you that I try to call coaches about it. But I think he's done a really good job, especially the second half of the season. When he left here after I was interviewed him all 3 games after they got swept here by Arkansas, they were really scuffling. As Vince said, it took care of Vanderbilt that series, and that kind of turned things around for them a little bit. Having 1 hit yesterday, you didn't see that coming. They'd still got good pitching, though, and that's been, I think, one of the bigger differences since they left here in Baumgartner Stadium is they kind of got their pitching back right. They've always had talented arms, but they were able to come through and maybe slot some people in situations that are better for them.
Yeah, and that's why those are all good points, and that's why there wasn't panic in me and some of us that see this team and knew that, okay, they're not playing their best, but there's still a lot of dudes and really talented arms, especially on this team. And there's guys that can hit also on this team. They just weren't playing their best. But what they did, and it was around that Arkansas series where they had so many new guys, they finally decided, hey, we need to come together. We need to learn about each other and do team bonding stuff. So they did. And then it started to finally pay off against Vanderbilt. And then they ascended from there. But you're right. The arms, it's not just that they're pitching better, but you alluded to them in the right positions. Andrew Lindsey, who was pitching well out of the pen for them, in that Arkansas series, that was the first time he went into the starting rotation. He was a Friday night guy a couple of years ago at Charlotte, but they put him in that spot. And what that did is it slid Chase Dolander back to game 2. Dolander preseason All-American, everybody's top 2 or 3 pick in the MLB draft. There's a lot of hype and expectations over Chase Dolander. And people were talking about him being the best prospect since Steven Strasburg. You fill in the blank. There was a couple guys on that short list. That's a lot to put on him. And so that was probably something that's weighed on him. But moving Lindsey to that Friday spot, I think it took some pressure off of him. Moving Chase Burns out of the weekend rotation, putting him in that sort of closer's role, relaxed him, and now we're seeing his best effort other than the one outing against South Carolina. So I think that has been part of their deal, is getting guys in the right positions. And then Drew Beam, and Dolander was unbelievable against South Carolina, even though he lost that game. And then Drew Beam had scuffled for a couple of weekends, and then he was his best against South Carolina. So you feel good about getting him in place and back to pitching well. You just never know game to game with situations on who matches up really well. the offense, Tennessee has had difficulties against left-handers that can spot their fastball and throw a lot of breaking balls, because Tennessee is very aggressive and they're much better, like a lot of hitters, at hitting fastballs than they are hitting guys with off-speed pitches, those spin pitches. And they do have better numbers against right-hand pitching than left-hand pitching. So Jim Schlossnagle, aware of that, even though Tennessee hit Wansing hard when they played him early in the year, I think that was smart for him to start Wansing and got his best effort. And you need some of those kind of things in the postseason, as you guys know, to advance guys to raise up and play better than we've seen them.
Hold those thoughts, because we're going to come back. Vince Ferarra covers Tennessee and Knoxville. Dudley Dawson, hogville.net. More after this on Sidelines. All right, back here talking SEC baseball tournament. Question from somebody about Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Where do you think Tennessee will go? It doesn't look like they're going to host a regional. It's a Tennessee fan, Jeff Heimbach from Memphis. And, I mean, maybe they do get a regional because they're in the SEC and their RPI is so strong.
Well, there's a lot of competition for those regional spots. I mean, 9 teams with 16 or more wins in the league? You just don't see that. And honestly, there's you could say 8 or 9 easily that have an argument to host a regional. Tennessee's RPI is good. It was 16 going into the tournament, but that's like 8th or 9th in the league. So that's the difficulty. There's never been 8 regional hosts. There's been 7 twice from the SEC. So I think that's kind of the max of what I would expect. I'd be surprised if even if the SEC is worthy of it with those great RPIs and all those great conference records, I'd be surprised if they went there. They always want to grow the sport and bring regionals to different areas, things like that. So I think Tennessee is a 2 seed. That's where I've seen them in projections. The 3 teams that Tennessee was sort of competing with as a potential host in South Carolina, Alabama, and Auburn all won yesterday. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to get 2 more games in the tournament against good level of competition, chance to improve their RPI. So I think Tennessee's on the outside looking in from that standpoint, only ahead of Texas A&M in terms of where they could be in seeding. Tennessee, I've seen them in Coral Gables with Miami. Seen them West Virginia as a 2, seen them Indiana as a 2, at Indiana State as a 2. Here's the thing, and I felt this way even if Tennessee was worthy. Tennessee, where they are geographically, is close to a lot of those other potential regional host sites, closer than a lot of other schools are that are in that group. So you can make a better case for pairing Tennessee to go to those places. Plus, Tennessee fans always travel well. And I think the committee, if they're paying any sort of attention, they'll know, okay, if we put Tennessee somewhere where they're within 3 to 5 hours driving distance, they're going to bring fans there. And even if it's a new regional that we're sort of introducing the sport to, Tennessee fans are going to help bring fans there. And there's going to be the draw of people are going to want to see Tennessee get beat, or or just they're fun to watch at times. They're still fourth in the nation in home runs. So I think all those things make it more appealing for Tennessee as a 2 somewhere at someone else's region within driving distance. Miami isn't, that, but hey, just like I did for the Orange Bowl for football, I might be able to attach a trip back home to see the family in Tampa and then just drive down to Miami, just like I did with the Orange Bowl around the holidays. So we'll see.
Here's something I think. There's going to be a coach that's very excited, him and his team, about having a number 1 seed and hosting a regional. And then the screen's going to pop up, and Tennessee's going to be number 2 in that regional. And that coach privately, he will not say it publicly, but privately, he's going to go, what in the world did I do to these people? Because that is not who you want to see as a number 2 if that's where they end up in there. Because, the first game, we all know how important that first game is. And, the second one, they move. But, do you want to face Tennessee's pitching in that first game? No.
And Tennessee has a lot of arms, too. They really hadn't used some guys that have been incredibly effective. They're still top 5 in the nation in ERA. A lot of guys just have not gotten the looks because their starters, as of late, have gone deeper in the ball games. They only gave up 3 runs in 19 2/3 innings. Their 3 starters over the weekend. So you're going to get draft pick after draft pick after draft pick to start ball games, and then more power, high velocity arms in the pen as well. So you're right. It is going to be tough. I think there'll be a similar reaction if anyone gets Texas A&M as a 3 seed in their regional. They'll be much better than maybe some of the other 3 seeds that are out there around the country.
A lot of people here have already moved past worrying about whether it's going to be, they know they're going to host a regional and super regional probably, but they've moved past that and are worried about who the number 2, 3, and 4 teams are.
Right. And rightfully so, absolutely.
Well, in the SEC, Vince and Dudley, we've talked about it, and everybody's going to be asking this question. If these teams continue to win, you have 7 or 8 of the 16 are SEC schools. There'll be national outrage, but hell, it's the free market. Last year you had 4 teams from the SEC West in Omaha, and 2 of those, A&M and Auburn, were picked 6th and 7th in that division. I guess we should get ready for it in the SEC because we're good in everything, and there's just a lot of envy. That's just what it is.
Absolutely. And then think about it. We've talked about it here locally because people have tried to sort of talk themselves off of the ledge when they were struggling this year. But Ole Miss started last year 5-10 in SEC play as well. They were talking about firing Bianco. You guys know that. They were at the end of their rope with him. And they went 1 and done in the SEC tournament as well. Yeah, and they were one of the last teams, if not the last team in the NCAA tournament, and they won it all as one of those teams, like you mentioned, from the West. So, that bodes well for the possibility of a non-1 seed, one of those 2s like Tennessee or Texas A&M that could make a run. It doesn't guarantee it, but it's been shown in Mississippi State the year before. They were run ruled in the SEC tournament in both those games, including one of them by Tennessee, and they won the national championship. So it doesn't always go chalk. It just shows the depth of this conference, and you just have to play your best at the right time. A team with pitching, I think, gives you a shot. And the tough thing with Tennessee is they have not played as well away from home, away from Lindsey Nelson Stadium. They did get that series at South Carolina, but that's only 4 true road wins and then 1 neutral site win. That's the least in the SEC out of any team. So can they play defense better than they have on the road and hit better on the road than they have? You have to come together and play your best ball to do that. But there are just so many different teams that could make a run. Everybody, including LSU, everybody has something you can point to as a flaw and something that could trip them up and end their season.
And when you've had the last 2 national champions, and those 2 can't even get into this year's SEC tournament, you can you can talk a little bit, and if people are upset that you got so many teams in there, we'll do better. That's like people were, I'm a big fan of the Celtics. I obviously was happy with last night, but people were talking about it. Miami reported on them the other night. Well, stop them. Stop it. Don't complain. Do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. And I know the run roll is a factor in that. And I'm with you. Once you get past high school, just do something about it. This whole, take it easy on them. And, a lot of the unwritten rules that you see, and you shouldn't be running at a certain score and all that. I'm not a traditionalist from that standpoint, but Tony Vitello, very outspoken. He's not a fan of the run rule because he wants to get his guys innings and he wants to get his guys at bats and try to help them down the road in their development. But that's the case. Tennessee has been in that situation a fair amount, but I'm with you. You got to take care of it on the field. If you're not getting it done, it's on you.
Yeah, and remember last year, Ole Miss had to go on the road and play in that regional in Hattiesburg. Now, obviously, that's in Mississippi, but LSU lost over there as well. There are no guarantees, but I think you're right about Tennessee. Get them within a 250, 300-mile radius. God, growing up in Memphis, there've always been 15,000, 20,000 season ticket holders from West Tennessee making that track. My wife, I've remarried a Vol for life. Mark Ham has the biggest tailgate in Knoxville, right there by the Torch guy. We were talking about it last night at dinner. Probably 300 people there. We had Roman Harper come hang out with us before the Alabama game and eat brisket. They cook so much food that it's ridiculous. But I'm not complaining. He has 10 season tickets, and Vince and Dudley, you know what this is like. He goes, just a couple of years ago, I couldn't give them away to people. I thought the judge would go, we're going to give you $11.29 in a county lockup or tickets to the next Tennessee game. I'll take the $11.29. And I'm like going, people were really that down on it? And he said, yeah, it was a rough cycle we went through, but I know something.
I love that joke about where the Cardinals started out so bad, 10-24. There was a joke that was going around where a guy said somebody had 2 tickets in my car, St. Louis Cardinal tickets. In my car, somebody broke a window and put in 2 more.
Hey, here's a stat for you in terms of the difference in where Tennessee was and where they are now under Tony Vitello. The last 3 seasons, Tennessee has hit 370 home runs in 3 seasons. I mean, do the math. That's over 120 home runs per year, including last year setting the program record and the BB Corbett record at 158.
Yeah.
In 10 seasons prior to that, 10 seasons combined, they only hit 295. So that's averaging 30 a year to averaging 120 a year. Now, the fences have come in a few feet, a little bit from them, but they're still pitching at a high level at home too. So they're not giving up a bunch of home runs. So it is about talent, but it's also about approach, and it's about dudes and getting players. They just weren't able to do that under Todd Raleigh and the Dave Serrano era. And Dave Serrano, actually very classy, former Tennessee coach. He came on our station. We had Ben McKee from Go Vols 24/7 as a guest talking baseball on our show, Josh and Swain. And then Dave Serrano listened, called in and said, I got to respectfully disagree with his talk about Tennessee's inconsistencies. I think they'll be the last team standing and win the national championship. So pretty bold and very cool from Dave Serrano to do that. But, there's ability there, and a lot of it is through recruiting through Tony Vitello and improving where they're at. People like say, "Oh, Vince, man, you and John sound great doing baseball. How long you been doing that?" Well, like 10 years, and like people didn't even know we had. Oh, sorry, I lost my video. People didn't even know we were on the call. At least me. Because they just weren't paying attention, and now that the team is good, they pay attention. It's just that simple.
I've made it clear that how much I like Tony, and that makes me somewhat in the younger crowd here doesn't know, that what Tony did recruiting wise for Arkansas during the short time he was here. But but he can recruit his butt off. And we all know that. I'm proud of what he's done over there. And I know it's been a tougher year, but just as you said when he first came up, try replacing all 8 position guys and seeing how that works out for you. I mean, that's going to take time. And I know there have been some complaints over there. And Rob, you and I've talked about this at times. When Arkansas lost to Lipscomb on that Tuesday night in North Little Rock, Dave Van Horn, time had passed him by. And it's just people are fickle. Oh,
yeah. Well, Butch Thompson was on the show with us Saturday morning, and he's on with us most every week, Wednesday or Saturday. And it was funny to hear him say a couple of things Saturday. He goes, look, players are allowed to get better as the season goes along. Yeah. And I remember asking him about, a month ago, I said, of your top 3 pitchers that you projected to be your top 3, obviously Joseph Gonzalez and the other 2 guys. Joseph never pitched a ball this year. He's had shoulder surgery. And Tommy Sheen, the transfer from Notre Dame, he was, he played last year. But I said, how many innings? And I didn't finish the question. He said 5 1/3. And so he goes, it's not an excuse. He goes, you've got to work through it. Well, he's lucky. He goes, I brought in Darren Schoenrock, who was my pitching coach at Birmingham Southern. He was at Memphis for 18 years. And he goes, he came down here and wanted to, work with me. And that made me feel like, wow, this is cool. He coached me. Now he's coaching with me. So he said, when the things were not going well in pitching early in the season, he goes, this is not up to the standard of Auburn or the SEC. He goes, I sent Coach Rock out to the bullpen for a week. I kicked the anthill. I got things stirred up, and I realized what we needed to do. And he goes, he is such a calming influence in that locker room. And I'm with you, Dudley, about Tony Vitello. And Mark Ham, he sees him out in Knoxville. I like a guy like that. I don't know him, but I do know this. One of my good friend's daughter, she's a rising junior at Tennessee, is studying, wants to get into sports management and all. She emailed Tennessee athletic department, got an email back within 24 hours, and is over there working with them now. Tony Vitello and the people over there, I like competitors. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, the jacket and the all that stuff, but that's fun. You know what?
I don't have time for nice losers.
Yeah, if Dudley likes somebody, Vince, I'm going to like him. It's only your second time on the show, but you came recommended by one of my favorites, Jimmy Himes. You get it. You're from Tampa. I was wondering where you were from, if you were from Knoxville or whatever. But by the way, what's the name of that great restaurant? My friends Dorothy and Eric Mosley are Tennessee fanatics, live out on Duncan Road up in Knoxville. And there's a great Italian restaurant that's out there near them. And every time I'm up there, they always order it and have it delivered. And I've actually been to it. But Knoxville's a cool town. And as Jimmy says, they're not going to try to make it 12 or 14,000. They're gradually building the baseball program. But the fact that we have not even touched on football tells you how popular college baseball is. And I love talking college football, and so does Dudley.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned, people, Butch Thompson saying that, hey, you got to let guys develop. Well, we're talking about on the show today, just a quick word on football. Joe Milton was on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network. And I after we played some of his audio, and he was outstanding. And I said, well, remember when everybody trashed Joe Milton and made a permanent lifetime declaration of how he sucked? Remember that? And so now he hasn't done it full year as QB1 yet, but he's doing everything that you could ask for in being the leader of this team. And he has gotten better in the deep ball accuracy and the intermediate throws, things that we've talked about, and ran out of bounds against Ole Miss at the end of that game when he was in there a couple of years ago. So it's people have to take a deep breath and say, all right, there's a chance that somebody can improve, and he has improved, and he has a chance to have a special year. Just calm down and not make a lifetime declaration. I think it's kind of a society thing. You see one thing, you make the absolute, permanent statement on a guy or a thing.
And Rob, you mentioned the Italian restaurant. I was going to let you know that Stevie Nicks and Billy Joe, 36 songs at Nissan Stadium on Friday night. It was freaking awesome. I am so glad that I had my son, who's the music agent, who got me the tickets to go see them. We had great seats, and the baseball series with Vanderbilt was cool too. Covering that, but I gotta tell you, I mean, that was just awesome.
I bet it will. I've heard they're going on tour around the country, and I'm telling you what, you mix that with college baseball, and like you say,
and did the Music Row happy hour there at Margaritaville too. Patriot and I had a great weekend.
No, how can you not? Murder on Music Row, great song by George. But Vince, how long have you been in Knoxville covering the Tennessee? Did you go to school at Tennessee?
No, I've been here since 2010. I graduated from USF in Tampa, and I just being in the business of radio and TV, I've lived in a number of different states, Denver, Dallas, and New Orleans, where I got my first radio job. I had some time as a music radio top 40 DJ. There's a lot of fun stories in that, but it's a much different world back then than what it is now. But this is actually I did sports talk in Tuscaloosa. I worked with Chris Stewart, who's the voice of Alabama baseball and men's basketball, and I've been filling in for Eli Gold. Chris is a dear friend. I was technically his boss. I was a program director at a all sports station there. Chris did our morning show, and so that was fun. So I was in Tuscaloosa for about 4 years, and then from there I came up to Knoxville in 2010, and I've been here ever since, working for the Vol Network and, just doing TV, radio, all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, bottom line is you lived in Tuscaloosa. You probably, if you have a dog or a cat, you went to the May Veterinary Clinic. My good friends there, Tuscaloosa and Northport, Waller and Guy May, DVMs, of course. But you know what? I got to tell you, thank you so much for taking time to be with us, man. And we have so many people. In Memphis, that's the number one thing you hear is, and you really don't get it, you get the Tigers and the Grizzlies. And I get that, but there are tons of Tennessee fans. I'm married to one of them. I mean, she went growing up, her dad died 20 years ago. She went to every Tennessee game, either went to them, listened to them, or watched them, and found this big billboard. It's a big poster. It's a picture of Neyland Stadium back in the 80s, signed by Johnny Majors. And, I think it was appropriate. When Pat Dye Jr. was on the show, shortly after his father passed away, he said, Dad died on Monday. Coach Majors died Wednesday. He goes, I can pretty much assure you when they got to heaven, they got together with all the other coaches and had some cocktails and told some great stories. But damn it.
The question becomes,
I love this enthusiasm you have, Vince, and you're knowledgeable too, like Dudley's.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Becomes, do you wear Tennessee orange for her?
Orange and blue. No, but look, we were in Knoxville last year for that Tennessee-Alabama game. And when the Pride of the Southland band will be out here forming that giant T, and in just a few moments, and here they come, ladies and gentlemen, it's football time in Tennessee. I mean, she's in tears watching that. And when Smokey, they go out there and they were doing all the push-ups, and that was a hell of a game. She goes, Smokey's going to die.
Well, they've gotten Smokey's built up the biceps and triceps with this Josh Heupel offense. He got some practice.
And we keep asking this question because we'll have Bob Kessling on the show sometimes, and nobody knows. I said, does Smokey fly to the games? Does he drive in a van to the games? I know they take that Eagle from Auburn in a closed van, very protected. By the way, there are 5 bald eagles out this morning over here at the farm. I mean, it's so cool to look out and you see those beautiful – you can't see enough bald eagles, but I'm going to tell you what, you can't get better than this college football, college baseball. Love the comments on Tony Vitello because say what you want about him. The guy wins. And I remember when he left Arkansas to take the Tennessee job, they talked about, man, watch out. He's going to get it going. And Tennessee's always been just – all you got to do is pour a little bit of lighter fluid on that flame, and it just whoosh takes off.
Well, Rob, I appreciate the kind words on the enthusiasm, and I'm glad that Dudley has respect for Tony Vitello being in Arkansas because Arkansas and Tennessee get after each other, and I don't know that everyone still likes Tony Vitello anymore, respects him. They get after Tennessee every opportunity they get, the fan base, and Tennessee does the same thing. That's kind of a developed rivalry between the two, even though on the field. I think that's the one team that Tony Vitello hasn't had success against is Arkansas so far, but it is interesting how that's heated up.
Yeah, I've got to admit that, and I think I've told you this before, Rob, that my wife saw Tony on TV one time and said, "That's you back when you were in high school."
Look, there's and nothing. And Mark sees Coach Rick Barnes every day when he's out walking early in the mornings up there, and these coaches are people, and I love it when Dudley can relay and knows about them, and you, Vince, and we cover a lot of them, and it's fun. They all know each other. Yeah. And that's the thing about it. And as Coach Thompson said the other day, he said, the people, he goes, God will never forsake you. Your family will never forsake you, except in maybe rare occasions. He goes, your teammates, your team, your coaches, they'll stick with you. He goes, but the fans are the first ones to jump ship. We're terrible. He goes, but remember, don't let the moment be bigger than what it really is. I love that quote.
As Luke Combs says, cold beers never let me down.
Hey, Butch Thompson deals with it. All of us in the Southeast know the fan bases. A lot of times they have a football mentality to the non-football sports, and it's just different. You just got to deal with it. And if your football program is having success, it only brings more people to your sport. So you just kind of have to deal with it if you're those guys.
I love it. Look, Vince, I know you got to get going. You've been up probably since 4:00 this morning. You do a great show. Let people know how they can follow you and keep up with you on social media. And again, thank you so much. It means a hell of a lot to us for you to share time with us.
Man, enjoyed it as always. Yeah, no sleep after I get done with you guys. We have a weekly programming meeting, which is, as you guys probably can imagine, it's always, the prime amount of fun in one setting. But you can follow us. You can follow me on Twitter at Vince Sports, VINCE Sports. The station is 99.1, the Sports Animal flagship station of the Vols. So we have all that programming. Our games, Tennessee baseball games that John Wilkerson and I call on the Vol Network. John and I are partners doing the morning show 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, 5 to 8 Central. And you can stream it either on the free WNML app or 991thesportsanimal.com. You can check it out anytime. We put podcasts up there too in the podcast section in case you miss it, because look, it's early. It's not for everybody. I get it that early. So go check out the podcast later on.
Well, most every successful person I know is up in the morning about 5 or 5:30. So you got the best. The type A, we call it the type A personality show. Okay.
I wasn't successful until I started doing the show then, because I was not one of those morning guys, but I'm doing fine during the day. It's just a matter of getting to bed earlier. That is still an adjustment.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Look, thank you so much. Let's do it again here soon. Appreciate it.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. Appreciate you. Great job.
You bet.
Thank you.
That is so much fun when you get fellow, Dudley, and Doug Dean's going to be on with us here in just a second from down in Birmingham. And you get that mentality. It's like, cousin Mark, Audrey's cousin, lives in Knoxville. He's in Memphis. He's from Collierville a lot. He travels all the time. But, he's got one kid that's a rising senior at Tennessee, a daughter that's a rising sophomore. He goes at Georgia. He goes, I had to listen to all the national championship talk. And, when his son Will, it's pretty cool, is getting the intern this summer. He got down there, started last Thursday in Atlanta with the Braves. I mean, they're just putting him out on the front line. And I'm looking forward to him meeting my friends Dan Matthews, who's the executive producer of Chuck Oliver's show, Southern Sports Today, and Chuck and Chernoff in the afternoons on 680. And Chuck Oliver, of course, and Dan Matthews. I think he'll learn a lot just being around them, the craziness of this business and all. But the one thing that I learned, I like what you said, I call him coach. I just do. I don't, I saw some young guy last year at media days, Nick, blah, blah, blah. Everybody kind of looked at him like, I mean, I went to Christian Brothers High School. If I would have called Brother Adrian S. Powers, who ran that school, like the man that he was, as fine a man as I've ever met in my life, or Brother Stephen O'Malley, who had hands as thick as a catcher's mitt, who was the city handball champion in Chicago, but graduated from Northwestern, had a PhD in mathematics. I may not have been here today. I would, yes, sir, Brother Stephen. That's not old school. That's not old fashioned. It's called being courteous and kind. It's like opening the door for ladies, and just that's a good thing. But Tony Vitello, you look at him, wherever he's been, there is success all around him, and that's a good thing. I think they want people like him to kind of just shrink, and that's not the way it is. You want him to be what he is, because whatever you want to say, the winds follow, don't they, Dudley?
Yes, they do. And that's the same way with Coach Van Horn. Coach Van Horn at times can get under your skin, especially if you're an umpire and you make a bad call. But they both have a competitive instinct that I admire, and that's one of the reasons that I'll be covering baseball till I'm done here.
That's right. Well, hey, baseball, it's fun. We're going to have, Doug Dean's on with us right now down in Birmingham. It's Dudley, Dawson, Hogville.net.
I got to tap out. Good to see you, Doug.
Yeah, look, man, Dudley, appreciate everything that you had for us today. Let people know real quick how they can follow you.
Hogville.net, as in the shirt here, is our message board, and where we put up tons of stories on tons of sports. And then Fearless Friday is also our high school site that I continue to do some stuff on. So, Twitter handle is Dead Sports, DED Sports, and you can come there if you want to celebrate with me when the Cardinals are winning, commiserate with me when the Celtics are losing.
Yeah.
And get excited about it as I continue to learn hockey and the Golden Knights keep pushing forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, always love it. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we will do this again next Thursday.
Sounds good, man.
I appreciate it. All right, Doug Dean, man, a lot going on. We've been talking with Vince Ferarra out of Knoxville just now, and, of course, that was Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net. I stayed up late, man, watching that Auburn game. I'll take it, man. I'll stay up till 6 a.m. to see my Tigers win. And you know what? It's so good for Birmingham to host it. And everybody says, does it matter? What does Hoover mean and all? Man, when you get there, if you're a player,
it's cool.
Win. Yeah, it's cool.
It's really cool. Good morning, Robert and Audrey, and a shout out to Duff. I know that this week is always a big deal to LSU fans. They typically take over the Hoover Met in their LSU decorated golf carts all over the place. But you know what? The great Chipper Jones liked to say, Rob, chicks dig the long ball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've got a nickname for Cole Foster. You know where I'm going with this. When if your team defensively looks like the damn Keystone Cops in an inning, and they let Mizzou, because you're a little, you feel like, man, are we asking too much to win 4 in a row, and since the last Friday and the weekend sweeping Mizzou, and we let them get the lead. But Cole Foster's nickname today is the Eraser. He gets up there, and in conditions that the announcers, everyone was saying, well, you don't hit home runs in these kind of weather conditions. It's just too heavy. The air is too heavy. And he just launched 416-foot 3-run blast into the trees. And there's nothing more beautiful, unless you're the pitcher, right? There's nothing more beautiful than a batter, hopefully without it, seeming unclassy. And there's a fine line there, that he hits it and he's not in a hurry to run. He knows it's gone, and he can really experience the emotion. And in the background, you see mostly Auburn fans at that hour just going nuts, standing up, cheering. That's the fun of this tournament. Even though for some teams it doesn't matter a great deal, you don't have to win it. There's a school of thought it might hurt you to win this because you play that many games, and maybe it amounts to fatigue on your pitchers. I say keep playing exactly how you've been, but I will say, and then I want to hear your comments, I think Butch is doing Butch things, and right now that is the opportunity, since we are probably already hosting a regional, the opportunity to teach what I call tinker. He brings in Isbell, who hadn't pitched a great deal under pressure, and he's building some options when they get in the regional and maybe Omaha, where if you're down some pitchers and you're running out of pitchers, he's got a guy that he knows what he's potentially capable of. I just really liked that win last night, and we'll see what they can do with Vandy tonight.
Well, hey, just seeing the way that pitching staff has come from, you're losing your top three guys 6 innings all season, and Sheehan, Gonzalez, they're out. Watching Tommy Vale, watching Herbert Holtz, Chase also. I mean, good God! And then you look on there, McCrory is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then you've got Bobby Pierce from Scottsdale, Arizona. I mean, those World Series trips are reaching out to a lot of recruits, man.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do this. Hold that thought. Mildred just handed me the old watch farb. We got to take a break. We come back. I want to get into that, but man, this is an incredible to watch. 35.
It is.
Okay. All right. So, but I'm a minute ahead. But Doug, real quick before we go to the break, are you surprised at the way Auburn's hitting the ball? 84 runs in those 9 straight wins.
Yeah, and I believe I saw, and I'm taking a small risk here that people can fact check you. Rob Browne's text messages help the show as we go along. We've got such a knowledgeable, high IQ audience out there. But I saw someone post that that 10 runs by the Auburn Tigers last night is the most Auburn has scored. And this is some good Auburn teams, the most they've scored in Hoover in 25 years.
Since 98, yeah, when they ruled Alabama to win the SEC championship. We'll be right back with Doug Dean, Mildred, and Yule Gibbons on Wednesday's Sidelines Midweek Edition.
Red River Ford and Toyota, located in Wynne, Arkansas. If you're in the market for a new or used car, truck, or SUV, call, go online, or drop by and see them. Located 45 minutes from Memphis, go off the 4-city exit on I-40 and go north about 15 minutes on Highway 1. Easy to work with and still believe in customer service. If you live out of town, they will deliver your vehicle to you. RedRiverFordToyota.com. Just see what they can do.
Strengthen your seed zone this spring with quality tillage equipment from House Industries. Located in Cherry Valley, Arkansas, House Industries specializes in manufacturing superior equipment that will minimize your downtime and keep you working in the field. To ensure the highest quality control, all design, fabrication, and testing takes place in a 99,000 square foot manufacturing facility located right here in the heart of the Delta. Locate your nearest House equipment dealer online at houseindustriesinc.com.
House Industries, breaking ground.
Sidelines with Rob Browne. Talk sporty to me.
All right, man. You just saw that commercial from House Industries, Chad House, the great folks over in Cherry Valley, and unbelievable, man, how much of their equipment that you see on these farms. We're getting back last night from Memphis. God, I can't remember what time it was, close to 9. And you see the spray rigs and all this equipment out there and everything that they do. The farmers' work really is never done. They got lights in there, but they also have DVD players and equipment. They've got music. But, you hear about the bed roller and the pulverizer and everything the ECS House Industries does. The aerators, the catfish farms that you see making the great catfish that you love to eat, those aerators that make that water work. They make them right there at a 99,000 square foot warehouse in Cherry Valley. Chad House, great man, Sigma Nu, Rhodes College, big Arkansas fan, big Razorback fan, great guy, and just travels all over the place. But you know what I love about him, Doug? I guess it was Christmas Eve. Audrey and I, she sees on Facebook, he goes, "This is my favorite time of the year. I get to give my employees bonuses." He goes, "Because they make all this possible. I have the greatest work staff on the planet." You love to hear a boss who in a family business that is coming up on their 76th year, and we are damn proud to be associated with them. ECS House Industries in Cherry Valley, Arkansas. Doug, let's get rolling, man. This baseball is just captivating, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm full disclosure, and you can probably tell if you listen to me. I'm in historic terms, I like to go historical more than hysterical, Rob. I'm new, kind of late to the party on college baseball, and I'm sort of one of those playoff guys with MLB because my goodness, it's just a long season.
Yeah.
But I've always admired the people who follow it, understand the nuances. And Butch, your guest, Butch Thompson, I'm going to make a point here about how smart Rob Browne is. Like it buy low, sell high. And but there was a point in time, not even a couple of months ago, where it was starting to feel, I was starting to feel sympathy for Butch having to come on and do a 30-minute segment and sometimes a Saturday morning segment with you because there wasn't enough fun things to talk about. But that's why Butch Thompson is making what he is, coaching baseball at Auburn, and not me, because he said that the real secret to this was me not giving up on these pitchers. The hitting was actually always pretty solid early on, but now they have both converged in the most beautiful way. And who saw it coming, Rob, that this Auburn team, with the struggles they had early SEC season, would now, tell me if I'm wrong, they have just posted more SEC wins than any Butch Thompson team. Is that right?
Yeah, they're at 18 now, and they went to the World. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and so there are no guarantees, and one of the things that's tough about postseason in any league, especially the SEC, is while it's not impossible to go on and win the SEC tournament or a regional, if you lose a game early, it becomes, I don't know the probabilities like ESPN puts during a football game.
Yeah.
I bet you plummet to about a 15 or 20% probability of winning it all because it's just such a razor's edge to try to never lose another game.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, like the first night, as we know, is single elimination for those teams that, 5 through 12. But now you got to, it's double elimination. So people worry about, you got to be ready for the regional. You just want to keep winning, and it's a good mindset. But I think the takeaway from this season is up and down the SEC. If you have great pitching coaches on your staff, then you have a chance. But if you don't have strong pitching coaches, and then you got to have the arms, but injuries and fatigue, they all wear on everybody. You're going to struggle to make the tournament. And I think it's the first time ever that both Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the two defending national champions in 21 and 22, didn't make Hoover. That's the statement to the rest of the country. This is the toughest league, hands down.
Yeah, and I try to limit the amount of time I'm classy, Rob, to our cross-state arch rival. But you got to hat tip to the Crimson Tide for how they have surged and are playing so well. Really, arguably, any listing of the hottest teams, not only in the SEC but in the country, would have to include not one but both Alabama and Auburn right now. And Alabama, to their credit, is doing it despite losing their head coach under controversy just weeks ago. So very impressive showing. And it seems almost written in the stars to me that you're going to see Alabama and Auburn face each other in Hoover. Do you agree?
I think it's inevitable. And both teams are playing really, really well. And, the fact that they lost their coach on those circumstances, and it's not a dominating topic, is kind of refreshing. We're actually talking about baseball. They got to deal with that on their own. But, man, the crowds last night, the weather was – we had that weather over the weekend up here. It was kind of cool, cooler than normal. But that's just baseball. It's just life in the South in late May. But Hoover, people I get all these questions, Doug.
Yep.
Hoover doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does. It does, because it's the tournament. And if you're trying to if you're trying to lock down a regional, the best thing if you're Auburn or Alabama is to keep winning in Hoover. Yeah. And that's right there. We're being completely transparent. You've got Auburn and Alabama fans everywhere in Birmingham. So, Hoover does. Now, you can say, well, you're trying to save up. Well, that's like people that keep waiting and waiting and waiting. I like what Shug Jordan said. Don't wait to be great, son. Kickoff's in 5 minutes. I need you.
Yeah. Or Coach Boone. Son, you don't have time to be scared. When I was only 16 years old, I had to take over caring for the whole family. Now get out there and help your team win. Yeah, that was just Hollywood. And his assistant said, 8 kids? I thought you only had 4 kids. Hey, work with me. And it's what I said to your group text this morning, and it's not exactly the best use of the King's English, but it's the best I've got this morning. This Auburn team, and there are others, maybe Alabama's similar. I think Alabama's playing relaxed. It's like, we're playing for each other after a coach was shown the door. But I think the Auburn team, what gets rid of any nerves or anxiety is when you're playing with a sort of a controlled anger or fire. And I can just see it when Foster hit that unbelievable shot in the right outfield, that you see an anger. He's fired up, but the anger is the closest I can come to. Like, we're not nervous. The other team needs to be nervous. That's the kind of vibe. I don't really think of Butch Thompson as exactly having that personality. He's so calm and cool, but he does not mind his players adopting that if that's their personality. And I think that bodes well in postseason, because you're so busy making hits, looking for that fastball that's a real problem for the pitcher, and then playing great defense, good pitching. It's all coming together. And again, despite not having Gonzalez, the ace, going into the year.
Well, something really important and very revealing that Butch Thompson says a lot is, don't let the moment be bigger than what it really is. And it's like when something happens, I get kind of wound up. I'm highly competitive in everything I do, but you got to stop, just kind of be calm. That's what he does. And that transcends throughout that step. And then Coach Schoenrock, I watched him at Memphis for 18 years, but he coached Butch Thompson at Birmingham Southern. So he goes, how cool is that? Remember what he said on the show Saturday morning? He goes, he coached me, and he's been a coach for a long time, 39 years. He goes, now he's come back to work with me. He talked about how I kicked the anthill, sent him down to the bullpen for a week. He goes, this is not up to the standard, this pitching. We got to fix something. Coach Gross, Coach Nunemaker, they said we all had to look. He goes, I had to play the role of bad cop. But he goes, here we are now. Now, Butch did get a little bit fired up last night. And he always says, Rob, because you always say how calm I am. He goes, I know you like the duck hunt. He goes, you know how a duck sits on the water? He goes, he looks real calm on the surface, but underneath those legs, those feet are just spinning around. He got fired up about the catcher, his runner coming in, last night. And that was
I don't
know how he does it.
I'm not saying Butch is a robot at all.
Yeah.
But, I think if you saw the movie, it's well worth a couple hours. Trouble with the Curve, Clint Eastwood, and a megastar cast. But when Peanut Boy, the pitcher, gets his opportunity to show off in auditions, the Eastwood's daughter in the movie, who I guess was the agent working this or talent evaluator, she goes out to the mound and she says, "Are you nervous?" And this kid, he was from, I don't know if he was Dominican or wherever, but he said, "No, ma'am, I'm not nervous. It's just a game." And for the life of me, I want these kids, I don't care who they play for, if they lose, I don't want it to be because they had anxiety and they didn't play to their full potential. I want it to be that, hey, it is just a game. Of course, it would mean the world if we can advance and make Omaha or win it all like Ole Miss last year. I think Mississippi State the year before that. So, but I want it to be, if you lose, it's because the other guy was better that day. And I hope all these teams continue to just relax, let it be a game. It's not life-altering. It is a little more anxiety for the teams that are trying to get over the bubble and get selected for a regional.
Yeah, it is. And you think about if you're uptight in anything that you do, you're going to struggle. And I remember asking Harvey Glantz, Olympic gold medalist in the 1976 Olympics in Montreal from Phoenix City. This was his summer after he graduated from high school. He's competing for the United States of America in the Olympics in the 100-yard dash there in Montreal. There's 110,000 people in that stadium. He said, runners to your mark, get set. And he goes, and when I got down in the position for the race, it was dead silence. You could hear the people's blood flowing through their veins in the stands. And the dead quiet, some guy yells, War Eagle! And he goes, I won that gold medal. And I was like, wow, it happened that fast. But Ben,
fantastic.
You know, Doug's talking about it. Doug Dean, the AU Dose. You've met Ben Troupe here before, played down at Florida and in the NFL. You can't be uptight, Doug. And I love what you said about that.
Yeah, and I got to say, Rob, I'm going to take you to task, and Ben will love this. Rob, we have talked about this numerous times. You cannot bring Ben Troupe on at the end of my segment because now everybody's got to see this dude that obviously plays football. He's got the coolest friggin' hat.
And the beads. I love them.
Tiny bit of street cred I may have had is obliterated now by the great Ben Troupe.
No, not at all. Look, we're not doing a show Friday or Saturday or Monday. We're taking off from Memorial Day, and Audrey's like, "Thank you. I need a few days off." But I was like, going, "Holy cow! We're running out of. We're very blessed. Let's just say this: we are very blessed to have incredible guests like you, Doug, like you, Ben, who share their time with our listeners. And I can just tell you by the text and the responses and people." They love it because y'all don't hold back. So, Doug, when I get all of us on here together, it's a lot of fun. But I'm going to tell you, the most important 6 inches is between your ears. And I don't know what's more mental, baseball or golf. But Ben will tell you, being told you got to block Dwight Freeney on the edge might be the time.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, but more importantly, Ben, where do I procure a hat like that? I don't know if I could rock it, but I might try.
I love it.
I go to well, shout out to my grandfather. He wore hats every day. I'm either wearing a hat like this, like a fedora looking hat like this, or Atlanta braids fitted. Like when I was in the NFL, even in college, people say you only wear Braves hats. I said only and people used to try to see if they can catch me with another fitted hat on, like a somebody said, man, I think I saw you with a Yankees hat on. I go, no, you will never catch me wearing a New York Yankees hat. That's criminal. My grandfather will see me in my dreams and slap the hell out of me if he catch me with a New York Yankees hat on. That's not happening. But it's just something that, being a country boy, man, we don't do a lot. Beads, crazy looking cowboy hats. We keep it, in t-shirts.
Hey Ben, I love the phrase because I've got a lot of country boy in me. I might have grown up in Birmingham, but there's more country in. And I could prove it to you guys with sharing photos of outdoor expeditions. But I got to ask you, Ben, on the phrase country boy, do you agree with me that when you're assembling a football team, and probably especially so in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, that I want some guys, some country boys who have had to bale hay in the summer and work their ass off when it's 4th and 1 and you've got to score. You agree with me?
Oh yeah, I want you. Listen, I want them country boys that they only on social media because somebody told them they had to. They ain't got no followers now. They don't follow nobody. I want a country boy that you're weird to him. Like you looking at him like, dude, you got on overalls? Like, yeah, I got this in a lot of different colors too. Like, what do you like? I want a country boy that you ask him what he want for breakfast. He can tell you, I mean, I want some steak and some eggs. I want some grits. They're gonna say, I want a country boy that say things like, listen, man, I don't want no stovetop stuffing. I want some dressing for Thanksgiving. I want my mac and cheese, right, to not come out of a box. No. I want those type country boys to where, they always look like they're in a bad mood. Just got out the shower, just woke up. They got the just woke up in the morning look. Like I don't even like my teammates, but I have to. But I definitely don't like D linemen, So I want those type of guys.
Ben, I need to get Ben fired up with that question, and that's exactly what it's like. Then I'll get out here in a second, Rob. But
no, hang on with us because we just got the last segment coming in. Stay on as long as you can, but I want to develop this. I want those tough guys, the guys like around here in Parkin that work on these farms. They're getting in last night at 1:00 this morning. The last truck, I heard it coming in because I was still up from watching the Auburn baseball game. If you don't ever talk bad about farmers with your mouth full of food, God love them. God bless America. Be right back. All right, Rob Browne back here with this distinguished panel. Ben Troupe, ESPN Coastal down in Savannah, home of Miss Wilkes, some of the best food in the world, and Doug Dean, AU Dawson, Birmingham. And Doug, jump back in there.
Yeah, I was just reminded from that. Ben got me so fired up with the way he reeled off what that looks like on an actual football team country. Now, I mean, there's probably some city guys that have pretty hairstyles, right, Ben, and they can run a 4-3 and they can help you win games. I'm not a hater, but I was reminded of, I don't remember if it was John Madden or back in that era, the great quote that goes, when it's 4th and goal at the 1 and you've got to score, no time remaining, I want the whiskey drinkers, not the milk drinkers.
That's pretty, I mean, that's it. I mean, football is very, very simple when you break it down. When you start getting out, listen, and offensive linemen, Green Bay back when they was in their heyday, with the Brett Favre's, they didn't when they got introduced. That's the only time you heard from them. Like when that's when Monday Night Football, so and so from this school and that school. Old linemen don't want to do anything outside of move other people. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do commercials. I don't want to do all that stuff. And even D linemen. D linemen don't like O linemen. O linemen don't like D linemen, and they room with each other during the year. Like my roommate is the guy I got to see every day, but ain't no friends, man. O linemen are people. O linemen are the type of people to where if you need something done, right, you only got to ask them once. Hey, man, I need y'all to help me move inside of this building. All right, we'll be there in 10 minutes. Like that's what they do. And the best O linemen are the nicest people you ever met away from football. They are the nicest guys. When they put them jerseys on, they are the guy you cut off in traffic. They don't like nobody. They like nobody. But that's what makes football what it is. One thing is in common with every great football team. They are great in the trenches. You can go back 30 years. They are not good, great. And every defensive player on that 2021 Georgia team got drafted. In the last 2 years, all of them got drafted. So Jordan Davis, and N'Kobe Dean, and all those guys, and they had one thing in common: you could not run the football. The reason why N'Kobe Dean, won the Buckets Award because it was just him and the running back. O-lineman ain't touching him because you got big Jordan Davis right there. You got Walker and those guys. So I just think that for me, if I'm building a football team, I love Pat Mahomes. I love Lamar Jackson, and I love Travis Kelce, the tight end. Give me 5 grown men in front of the quarterback that care about one thing. Look at my quarterback's jersey. If my quarterback jersey is clean, we won the game. If that means you ain't touching. And the D lineman means, hey man, I hate quarterbacks. So it's my job to make sure that quarterback jersey look real dirty. But I want to compare and contrast. But yeah, great football teams are built in the trenches. I know we get caught up in the box scores. Go look at them boys that just got jerseys on. That when you walk up to them and say, "Hey man, good game," they don't even acknowledge it. They just keep walking. They don't even say thank you. They just go, "I know. I do this every weekend."
That's great. I had an Auburn Rob would know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name him because it's a little edgy, but the defensive coach tell me in terms of what he would recruit in defensive personnel. He said, when you talk about the edge rusher, Doug, I want a guy. I can't do this on every position because he's going to be hard to manage off the field, but I want a defensive end. He's got to have the measurables and all that, but I want a defensive end who had a bad childhood with his dad. Not horrible, not like.
Listen, everybody got mad at Deion Sanders' comments, right? When he was talking about how I want my quarterback to come from a 2-parent home. I want my O-lineman to come from like a single-parent home. And people thinking, oh my God, well, he's only telling you what everybody else does. He's just saying it out loud. He didn't say that the dad isn't in the kid's life. He just ain't in the house with the kid. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know who my dad is. Love my dad. But at the same time, D lineman and O lineman and D line and O line coaches are very, very similar. They ain't working with a full deck of cards. These aren't regular thinking people. Go watch a D line coach. I got to deal with 4 guys every play or 5 guys every play. O lineman, the only people that like them is their wives, and that's because they have to. They're contractually obligated to like him. Now, if you ask him behind the scenes, I can't stand him. But when it comes to the O line and D lineman, man, listen. The best meeting rooms in football are O line and D line. You go in the meeting room, dude, you will laugh because that's a lot of guys that you have to watch. So that's why I play tight end. It's just me and about 4 other guys. We keep it real simple. Because D lineman, man, I don't want my job predicated on these 3 guys next to me. Because if I don't feel like it, I'm gonna mess it up for them. No. Yeah. I don't need that type of responsibility. I was too young to have that. But yeah, some of my best friends played O-line and D-line. The best O-lineman made me look good. I'm not a good blocker, but you put me next to a beast, oh my God, I talk trash to defensive ends and linebackers. Because the old tackle gonna block my guy, his guy, and maybe the guy behind. So, shout out to him.
Hey, Rob, can we kick off college football this Saturday after that?
Absolutely. You know what's funny? Along the line of what you said about N'Kobe Dean, who's from Horn Lake, Mississippi, the Mississippi side of Memphis in DeSoto County. And that is, you talk about running backs got to have an offensive line to open up the holes. People don't think enough about what is a defensive lineman's job is to tie up the offensive lineman so that linebacker can fill those gaps. And so a linebacker is really like a defensive running back when you think about it. And I think you explained it really well too about the tight ends. I mean, some of the greatest matchups. I'll never forget Ed West, tight end, Leeton, Alabama, Colbert County High School, up against Wilbur Marshall, great linebacker at Florida from Astronaut High School in Titusville, Florida. And Wilbur didn't go home a lot of times because he had a brother and him that were really feuded a lot. And he was a tough. I mean, if you could deal with Wilbur Marshall, that meant that you were going to be able to play in the NFL. And you're right about the personalities and the dispositions of that. And offensive line coaches, I mean, you remember your coach, you probably could see him today. I know when I was still in college, I was up at Blacksburg with my brother-in-law who played tight end at Virginia Tech. And he went in there, and Rick was in his early or mid-30s at the time. And every one of those coaches and their trainers on a Sunday afternoon, Rick Law, Rich Creek, Virginia, they all remembered him because he was 6'3", 245 pounds. You don't ever forget those guys. Doug, that's a damn good question, and I love your answer, Ben.
Well, and you know something else, Ben Troupe can comment on this. I've never been a Gator hater, Ben. You'll be glad to hear. Actually, Coach Spurrier, your coach, one of your coaches, won me over. Just, I hated him at first, probably because we were getting our butts whipped every time we played Florida, Auburn, that is. But he is classy. There is no evidence that Spurrier got his talent the dark way, if you know what I mean, the underhanded way. He believed in doing it right. And but people are confused on the topic. We're talking about guys in the trenches. They think Spurrier strictly won big games and championships by a high-flying aerial attack, and he certainly had that. But go back and look at his best teams. They had some of these monsters and guys with mean attitudes in the trenches on top of it. Am I right, Ben?
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Spurrier is an offensive guru because he wills you to sleep with the air raid. Because I Taylor, I hear Riedel, Anthony, and so. But you forget. I mean, Eric Red had a hell of an O-line. Fred Taylor had a hell of an O-line. And the thing, but that's the sign of a good team is he gets you so caught up in the quarterbacks and the receivers that when they hand it off, I mean. These guys are in the, Eric Rick got a shot to be a college football Hall of Famer. Fred Taylor got a shot to be a college because of how well these guys played. But that's it. Good offensive football is, hey man, all running the football is attitude. I'm going to take you here and put you there, and we're going to run it. It used to be 6 yards was an explosive play. These guys be going 60, 70 yards. So yeah, Coach Spurrier is a guy that I always tell people, look. Watching him from afar, you're doing yourself a disservice because you only watch a perception. He can't give you anything but what you make up in your mind. You sit down 5 minutes with him, and he just going to talk life with you because he know you ain't going to understand football, not the way he sees it. If he get to breaking out X and O's, he going to lose you. But, yeah, man, Coach Spurrier was a guy that said, look, Benny, at the end of the day, I never ever took this thing as serious as people took it. I just took the game serious. And, off the field, man, I'm a husband, I'm a grandfather, I'm a father. He said, my wife want me to take out the trash just like anybody else. I'm not Steve Spurrier when I'm in the house. Hey, man, you going to cut the grass tonight? I know you got practice, in 30 minutes. And I think that him having a personal relationship, and he's still a rock star, man. When you think about why do players pick schools, they pick coaches first. So people go, are they picking Georgia? No, they're picking Kirby, then Georgia. Because the face of most schools are these head coaches. And like I said, the guy Spurrier got a field named after him, coached a Heisman, won a Heisman. Now you got a restaurant down there in Gainesville. He runs Gainesville, man. I feel sorry for Steve Spurrier Jr. He hated his name. His name should have been Ralph or Tom or something. I don't want Steve Spurrier Jr. because how can you live up to that type of legacy?
Yeah, I got to ask you on the high school level, did they play some football in Swainsboro, Georgia, and Augusta, Georgia back in the day, Ben?
They really, really did, man. The thing about Swainsboro, Georgia is, I'm from Swainsboro, Georgia. All I ever wanted to be was a Tiger. Small towns, the biggest celebrities are the high school seniors. But this is what people don't know about Swainsboro. The Ray Guy Award. Ray Guy is from Swainsboro. May he rest in peace. Ray Guy is from Swainsboro, just like me. He moved to Augusta, just like me. And I think the thing about it is Swainsboro, I take pride in it because it's the only city in America named Swainsboro, spelled the SWAINSBORO. It's the other boroughs now. We the only Swainsboro. But I think that when you're from a little small country town that everybody knows everybody, Friday night there is no "What are you doing?" What do you mean? What am I doing? I'm on my way to the game. What do you mean? Yep. Listen. And so I just love the fact that a lot of guys came out of there. I'm just truly blessed to be from there. I was there a couple of days ago, man, giving rings to the Swainsboro Middle School because the middle school don't get recognized like high school, right? Man, we was giving them young boys them rings. The one lady told me, the lady texted me and said, my son, he won't take his off. I said, well, listen now, them ain't real diamonds on his hand. Now, he might want to take it off and make sure his skin is still the same color. It might be discolored at this point. But, hey, man, I love being from the borough. And like I say, sweet tea and shade trees for life.
Hey, Ben, you may know this from handed down by Gator lore. Rob knows it, but the great Steve Spurrier in his playing days, it wasn't enough in a huge game against Auburn that he, eviscerated us at quarterback position, running and throwing. But I think their starting kicker was out. Spurrier lines up and kicks a 4-yard freaking field goal as the quarterback to beat Auburn.
Yeah. 1966, the year he won the Heisman. That was still, but I'm with both of y'all. He's a guy I'd love to sit down and just listen to, because people say, "Oh, he runs the score up." No, he doesn't. He's the guys, and you know this, Ben. Second team, third team, fourth team. They get out on that field. It may be the only time in their career they get that ball. They ain't gonna fall down on the ground because they feel sorry for the other team. And people will criticize Steve Spurrier, but
if you don't,
I'll tell you one thing:
you don't like it, stop them.
Yeah, it's right. And anybody that knows anything, and Doug, you know this. I've still got his jersey from when I was a little kid. Pat Sullivan, Heisman Trophy winner at Auburn. Ben, when he was diagnosed with cancer, Steve Spurrier helped him get in with the doctors at the University of Florida. I think at Shands Medical Center, the Cancer Center. And he lived another 17 years. And you talk about teammates and rivalries. The Friday, November 29th of 2019, Johnny Musso, the Italian stallion, came over and spent the afternoon with Pat Sullivan. And Pat died having watched Auburn beat Alabama 48-45. I believe he passed away early Sunday morning, December 1st of 2019. Those are relationships. And just like Doug, I can tell you this. You get on here with Buddy Martin and Ben TROUPE and Franz Beard, they'll make a Gator out of anybody. I mean, y'all are that. And by the way, Doug, you got to watch it tomorrow. It's Thursday night is when it gets. It's Ben. You're on there with Buddy and Franz. You've got to watch the Gator trio. Only Franz Beard could say this. I'm watching him Monday night. He goes, Buddy, I want to say something before we go. Sad news today. Edgar the rattlesnake passed away. He a longtime resident of the Central Florida Zoo in Orlando. Edgar the rattlesnake was 7 feet 3 inches long, weighed 21 pounds and 6 ounces, and was 18 years old. And Buddy's like, "Oh, friends, terrible news."
That's friend.
Those guys, hey, watch it 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday night, Doug. When Ben's on here tonight with them, it's a trip, man. It's fun. We only got a couple of minutes left, so Doug, stay with us. But this is what I love about this show: free speech, man. And Doug, you are as skilled a writer as there is. Ben, as skilled a writer and orator as there is. So y'all feel free to walk around the cabin.
Rob, Ben's got the fire, though. When he talks, he's been in the trenches. And
Yes.
Be a fake analyst on your show, but it's a lot of fun.
No, you're incredible. And Ben gets, Ben's teammate in high school was Carlos Rogers.
Oh yeah. The first time I knew Carlos Rogers could play defense, like for real, we went to a camp in Georgia. Mind you, he played safety and we played running back and safety a little bit. They put him in front of these receivers. Literally nobody could get off the line. Like he wasn't. And mind you, they looking at me. I'm like, I ain't never seen this either. Like I ain't even know he could do this. And then when he went to Auburn and did what he did, man, I'm super duper happy for him, man. Like I mean, you got those you got the Thorpe Award winner on your team. And then I was blessed enough to play in the Florida Georgia High School All-Star game with Ronnie Browne. He was a slouch. I don't know where he come from. I'm just telling you, man, Auburn gets on my nerves because they don't lack Takeo Spikes. Where does he come from? Carlos Dansby and Jason Campbell and Cadillac Williams. They get all these bums in a row. Where they come from? Get out of here, man. Auburn gets on my nerves, man. They get on my nerves.
Hey, Ben, Florida and Auburn have a little in common right now. We're trying to get back to where we've been,
Listen, and it is good for college football. I mean, I met a dude named Rudy Johnson in college. I said, "Hey, bro, where the hell you come from, man? I'm sick of you too." So you go from Rudy to Cadillac to Ronnie Browne. That's cheating. Ronnie Browne backed up Cadillac.
Yeah,
man. Come on,
And
man. I ain't got time for
Ben,
that.
before we go, I'm gonna have a little fun with you now. I know that Florida has more influence over the SEC schedulers, and y'all. I want Florida. I'm challenging you and your Gators to quit dodging Auburn. Get us back on your damn schedule, man.
Listen, man, I never want this LSU nonsense, man. Not me. I said, man, I want the orange. Listen, I want the royal blue and orange going up against the navy blue and burnt orange. I want that. I want the orange and blue game. What is Auburn and Georgia? Get out of here with that. We want Auburn and Florida, man. Stop the nonsense.
Let's go.
look, I'm all over. We've run out of time, but I got to tell you, Doug, I'm totally with you. I love that rivalry, and now with the new pods, it looks like we'll play each other twice every 4 years. But I'd like it to be every year. There's just something about that rivalry. It's one of Auburn's oldest and the best. Look, great segment here today. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. We're the most blessed people in the world. Read Ben's book. It's in the background, Doug. Uncommon and Unfinished. Ben, you got a show every day, ESPN Coastal over in Savannah. You'll be on tomorrow night. Doug, you got to watch it, man. You'll hear about, I'm sure that Franz is still in mourning about Edgar the Rattlesnake, but that was just, only Franz will tell you that. But anyway, great stuff as always. And Ben, how they keep up with you, Doug, the AU Daily Dose, it's awesome. So Ben, let them know, and we'll do this again next week.
All social media outlets at BenTroupe84. Go to BenTroupe84.com to pick up a copy of Uncommon and Unfinished. And like I said, I'm going to be on Sidelines as much as they have me. Yes, I'm blessed enough to be on with Franz Beard and Buddy Martin every Thursday on the Buddy Martin Show. And listen, for those of you who love Buddy Martin, get him a producer. He is his own producer. He doesn't care. You'll see your name moving all around the screen for 1 full hour. He'll have you can't even see your face, but love Buddy Martin. Love them boys used to interview me in college. Now I get to share, grace these airways with them, man. So I'm enjoying the moment.
I love it. Doug, thank you so much. This is absolutely awesome.
Godspeed to you.
All right, everybody have a great one. We'll be back tomorrow. Take care. We are out of here.